So by this time, a lot of you guys have either read or heard about Nat Talks About It. Very excited about this project. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And today, now, impromptu, we're gonna do the first topic in Nat Talks About It. And I have to say that it's not the topic that was within my heart and my spirit as my first topic. I've been discouraged from my first topic that I had in mind, but this topic, which came as a suggestion from someone that I care about deeply and has good intentions, is a topic that I feel I've over discussed in a lot of different groups. And I think it's an important topic. It's an important topic. So we're gonna dive in and see where we get. When you see the short, when you see the video, when you see whatever I post on Instagram, let me know what you think. Let me know your comments, your questions, or anything you can contribute. I want to hear all of it. So the topic is the very popular ghosting. Ghosting. What I've learned about ghosting in a lot of different venues that I've been in is that we have a lot of different definitions of ghosting. We talk and we act like we know what ghosting is, but a lot of us really don't know. We misuse the term and we get upset with people over the wrong thing. And I'm not advocating for ghosting. I'm not saying that ghosting is something that we should be doing. But I am saying that if we're going to get upset about it, we should get upset about what it is and what it is correctly. So to clarify, to begin, right, we're going to define ghosting. And ghosting basically is cutting off all communication with someone without providing an explanation. That's it, right? So a lot of people think that ghosting can be that you stop seeing someone, stop calling someone, stop texting someone, but you sent an email explaining why and you were ghosted. Or vice versa. It could mean that I saw someone at lunch and then I sent a text saying, oh, I don't want to see you anymore, and that person was ghosted. That's not ghosting. So in order for you to ghost someone, you have to cut off all communication without an explanation. So if you stop seeing someone, you stop calling someone, and you stop texting someone, but you're still having social media interactions, whether it's liking posts and pictures or commenting or saying happy birthday or Merry Christmas or these superficial things that people do on social media, you weren't ghosted. You just simply weren't provided an explanation. But ghosting requires you to cut off all communication. No calls, no texts, no emails, no DMs, no Facebook private message. All of it completely cut off. Now, if I send you a text message explaining to you why I'm cutting off communication, that's not ghosting. It's undesirable. You might classify it to be whatever you see it as, depending on your values, right? Or how you run yourself. But it's not ghosting. I gave you an explanation. It might not have been to your liking, but I provided you what I thought was okay for you to know, or what I was comfortable with. And a lot of us think that ghosting only happens in dating, but that's also not true. You can also ghost friends, and you can also ghost business partners, right? I've seen cases where people have entered into a business agreement with someone, and somewhere along the line, usually in the very beginning, they just ghost the other person. That has happened. People have gone to court over things like that. So ghosting is not just for dating. Now, full disclosure, I do have some ghosting in my past, right? And as someone that has ghosted people in the past, I happen to think that there are benefits to ghosting. And to be clear, I'm not dating, so I'm not ghosting anyone now. I don't ghost people, but it is something that I have learned to do over time and that I have done. So a lot of people may ask, well, what are the benefits? One of my closest friends who frowns upon ghosting, right? What's the point? What's so good about ghosting, right? So let's talk about it. It's easy, right? It requires very little effort. Actually, it requires no effort. I don't have to do anything at all. I just have to exist. I just have to be, right? And I may have to click decline a few times, or I may have to delete your email, right? I may have to, that's basically all I have to do. Just delete your text message. So it's very easy. Also, it is one of the benefits of ghosting is when there's like safety issues. We don't talk about that, right? But if the business partner, the person you're dating, the friend that you're dealing with has issues with anger that may cause you to be unsafe, it might be better to ghost, right? But we don't talk about that. And there are people who you can explain something to, and even though they understand the words that you're saying, and they might even agree with you, they might not like some aspect of it, and they may become angry. Why do I want to be in that type of environment? Why do I want to subject myself to that, right? So it might be safer for me to ghost than to provide you with an explanation. Another benefit that some of us might see is that I think ghosting allows us to move on from whatever it is, even if the other person isn't ready to move on, or even if the other person doesn't agree, right? So I don't have to deal with the groveling of it if it's gonna come there, and I may not have to deal with the conscience of, well, I did that to this person, right? Sometimes, out of sight, out of mind. If I don't see it happening, then it's not real. And we can have our judgments about what that means about the ghoster, right? The ghoster, not the ghostie. But it still is what it is. It's still a benefit for the person. I think ghosting also, it limits the emotional response from both people, right? If someone ghosts me, they don't have to deal with whatever crying I may be doing, right? Because of a breakup. If someone ghosts me, they don't have to worry about feeling bad about whatever they're telling me. So there's like a dead end there, right? And we'll talk about the consequences of that dead end in a second. But for some, that's a benefit. And then there's no confrontation, right? You're not going to be able to rebuttal whatever I say. Whatever I think and whatever I'm ghosting is what it is. It's the reality, right? Because you don't have an opportunity to say anything about it. Now, like I said before, I no longer do that, right? That's no longer a practice that I have, but I think it's fair to talk about why I don't do it anymore, because I think that us talking about it lends itself to the thinking that I support it. And I don't support ghosting. I don't. And this is why. So a couple of holidays ago, I was able to have an exchange with somebody that I had ghosted. And what they explained to me was that it wasn't so much the lack of me in their life that was putting them through a process, but it was the idea that they thought so highly of me, and I didn't even think that they deserved a conversation. So, you know, a lot of times when we ghost people, it has a demeaning aspect to it, right? I am devaluing you as a person. You don't even deserve the conversation, right? Because, you know, we can agree to disagree. We can go our separate ways, especially when you start talking about certain age groups, right? And we'll talk about age groups in a minute. But the idea that we valued each other enough to start whatever exchange, whether it was a business venture, whether it was work, whether it was a friendship, even if it was a early friendship, or dating, right? We saw each other and we thought this would be a good idea. And at some point that changed, but you didn't even think I was worth the conversation. And, you know, when that person explained to me that that's what they thought, I immediately brought it to, did you think that about them when you ghosted them? And I didn't. That's 100% not true. I absolutely did not think that they were not worth the conversation. So it was a misstep on my part. And, you know, I did apologize about it. And they did accept my apology, and we were able to move on from that. The relationship didn't materialize after that. We didn't reconnect, but I felt like that conversation was important. And if I had not done that, I probably wouldn't be of the mindset that ghosting's not good, right? Because for me, at my core, I respect the human experience, and I think that people's humanity is important. So anytime that I make someone feel bad with intention, because I intentionally ghosted that person, I intended to do that. I said to myself, you know, I don't want this to continue. How do I want to discontinue it? And I intended to ghost him. So I don't ever want to be in a position where I can intentionally make someone feel like they're less important, right? Because that's not how I feel. That's not what I think. So I had to reevaluate that. And I had to say, yeah, that's not something that I want to keep doing, right? I had done it for a long time, but that's not something that I want to keep doing. So I'll have to put my lesson to the test the next time that I'm in a position where I have to have a difficult conversation about an ending, or am I going to ghost someone? And I'm confident that I'm going to make the learned decision and the better choice, which is not ghosting. So let's talk about why I did ghost him, because I think that goes into the benefits of ghosting. So believe it or not, so one of the benefits that we said was avoiding confrontation. That's not me. I don't avoid confrontation, right? I actually think that I'm very good with confrontation. And I think that what comes after confrontation is always growth. And I'm a big supporter of growth. Anything that makes me better is for me. I'm signing up. So it's not that. I also didn't prescribe to the easy way out. Anyone that knows me knows that there's nothing that's been easy about me. Nothing is easy. So I don't go for easy ever. But what I did want is I wanted to end this without being convinced not to. So what happens is with ghosting is that, well, let's back up. What happens when you communicate something that you want or need, the person can respond, right? And when you have a flexible mind, which I take pride in being a flexible personality, you can listen to someone and you can listen to someone's perspective and change your mind. And that's what I was afraid of. So there was nothing wrong with this person, but it was something that was not for me. And I knew that if I shared what I felt or what I thought and how I wanted to move forward, this person was going to come up with real viable reasons not to do that. And he would have been right. He would have been right. But it wasn't right for me at that time. It would have been right at another time, but it wasn't right for me at that time. So because I knew that, I wanted to avoid that. So it wasn't because it was easier. It wasn't because I wanted to avoid confrontation. I just kind of wanted to avoid the back and forth of reason, right? And he did deserve that, but that's not what I was ready for at the time. And what do we know, right? Ghosting lacks closure. When you ghost someone, one of the two people does not get closure. This person is left confused. This person is left hurt, right? And not knowing. And that's not good, right? That's not good. And even though I think closure is a scam, and that'll probably be another talk, because closure is a scam, everybody has a right to seek closure, right? And everybody, even if they don't get it, everybody has a right to want it. So when we talk about ghosting, one of the things that comes up is, that I hear often is, oh, it's so immature. Oh, that's immature, right? People say that all the time. Is it? So are only young people ghosting? Because I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think there are 50-year-olds, not that 50 is old, but 50 is a learned life, right? You've lived at 50. And I know 50-year-olds that ghosts. I know 40-year-olds. I know 30-year-olds. And I know 20-year-olds that have ghosted, that are ghosting right now. So I don't think that there's an age group. But what I do think is that my millennials, I think we have mastered the art of ghosting. I'd like to see if there's research on that, but I know that the Gen Zs are very technology oriented, right? They're very focused on technology. But remember, millennials, right? We had the dial-up internet, right? That was us. We had the big Dell computer and the Apple computer. That was us, right? We had AOL Instant Messenger. That was us. And I think that because of the technology that came with us millennials, I think we got so comfortable hiding behind screens. We got so comfortable doing things behind a screen that may not be found out. And I think that our generation, because let's face it, a lot of the ghosting happens through social media, through texting, through online dating, right? Millennials are online dating, and you're dating online and you're chatting people up, and then you're ghosting, you're gone, and the other person doesn't know where you went, right? So I think, I'd like to see what you think, but I think that if I had to guess, I think that millennials are the ones that are doing the most ghosting. So what's that? That's 1981 to like 1996, right? That's us. 1981 to 1996. Gen Z is probably right behind us, but I definitely think that millennials got it all covered. So, you know, the takeaway for me, and I'd love to hear what you think, in comments, DMs, anything, any way you'd like to let me know. But I think that the takeaway is that it really is, ghosting is really hurtful. So I know that my one friend who suggested this topic is going to be very happy to hear me say this, that I'm no longer a ghoster. I will not be ghosting anyone. And I think that the next time that we are at a crossroad of whether we ghost somebody or not, we should really think about what that person is left with, right? And the message that we want to leave with them. So if we value that person at all in any capacity, even if we don't value them in the same role that they had in our life, but if we value them as people, then ghosting shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't. So tell me what you think, ask me any questions, And if you're up for it, let's talk about it.